You're all the way up there today, huh? Boop. Microphone in place. We're gonna do a Theros Beyond Death quick draft today. Just doing something quick, not too uh high intensity. We get as long as we want to pick each card, so we're gonna, take our time with these choices. Not that I need it for this first pick here, because if you've noticed, we've got the Archon of Sun's Grace as our first pick, which is one of the best bombs in the set. Uh, it goes into the White Flyers theme. It goes into the Constellation theme. If your opponents don't deal with it, they pretty much lose on the spot. It's a wonderful card. Stinging Slimefish is a good card. Dreamstalker Manticore. These both go into the Is It Draw Go deck. Furious Rise is kind of the what was it called? Fortuitous. The keyword that applies when you have a creature with power 4 or greater. I don't know what was it called. I think it was in like, was it in OG Theros or was it in Cons of Tarkir or something? What was it, Fortuitous? I don't know. But then there's Daybait Chimera. It's a great card. Costs X less to cast, where X is your devotion to white. Real solid. Often comes down for like 3 mana as a 3/3 flyer. Triumphant Surge is a pretty standard removal spell. It kills what you care about, those big fatty dudes, and it gains you a little bit of life. Brine Giant, sure. All these other cards are just kind of filler cards. Thirst for Meaning is a good draw spell. You would throw it into your blue decks if you had a little bit of room for it, but we're going to go with the awesome bomb that we found in Archon Sun's Grace. We got a Helioid's Pilgrim, which is a really, really good common. It tutors out an aura card from our deck, which is really, really good if we're in this white flyer sub theme. And if we do get into that white flyer sub theme, we're probably going to be playing white blue enchantment flyers that really get in there for that peck damage and just keep constant pressure over the course of the game. Outside of Life's Bounty is also a really solid card. It gives you a 1/1 for 1 with lifelink and a little bit of pseudo protection onto one of your creatures. It'll give them indestructible if you pay 1 and sacrifice this dude. Actually, it'll give them protection, a little bit better than indestructible, some would say. Omen of the Sun, pretty solid card. It's one of the omens. It's the white omen. Comes in with flash. It's an enchantment. Gives you a couple of 1/1 white creature tokens, and you gain 2 life, which is pretty minuscule, but you sacrifice it a little bit later in the game to get that scry. Everybody loves it. Pious Wayfarer is one of the staple cards that we're probably going to pick up a little bit later in the draft, but not as our pick 2. Ikithia is a great card. It's a enchant creature. It's almost like a pacifism, except they can still block and attack, but they just lose all abilities and become a blue fish with base power 0/1. It's not the best removal spell because they are able to buff it. They're able to enchant it. They're able to sacrifice it. They're able to use static and activate. No, they aren't able to use abilities, but they can still, sack it off, block with it, do a couple other things. But it's still solid. It's still good and limited. We're gonna go with the Helioid's Pilgrim because this thing is just so solid in this particular deck. Now, Elspeth's Nightmare, really, really good card. Calefe, Beloved of the Sea, really, really good card. We might want to go into white black. However, white black has a very strong recursion theme in the set. It's not as much getting enchantments out and having these consistent flyers. The white black deck is more like value, grindy, recursion. So it's not necessarily um, given to you every draft the same way white blue, I believe, is given to you every draft. You're always going to be able to safely draft white blue, at least like 80% of the time. You're not going to want to force it, but usually there is a deck there. And sometimes you just don't get the cards required for the black white deck. You need that 5 mana recursion spell that also brings back an aura. You might want a real big bomb like Elspeth Conquers Death that's really good. You want something that can bring back enchantments, most likely, like the 4-drop that gains you life and puts the enchantment on the top of your deck. So in this situation, I am going to go with Caliphate because she is an enchantment. She protects our creatures a little bit, and she's just a solid 3-drop. She's a 2/3 at the very least for 3 with extra abilities built on. Oh, Daxos, Blessed by the Sun. Super, super good. His toughness is equal to our devotion to white, so it's not uncommon that this guy becomes like a 2/5 or a 2/6 for 2 mana. And whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 health. Because he tends to be really beefy and has a fat ass, he stays on the battlefield for quite a while. And it's not uncommon that little Sky will gain you, 5 life over the course of a game. We also got a Shoal Kraken, which has a constellation effect. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, you're going to want to discard. You have to discard a card. Really, really solid card, but it's not quite what I want to be doing right now for this deck. I might just go for this Thirst for Meaning because it's really, really solid draw spell. It's in between this and the Daxos. The Daxos is a little bit hard to play. We are heavy white, so actually the what I should say is the Caliphate is hard to play with our deck currently if we pick Daxos because we have a double white on turn 2, we have a double white on turn 4, but somehow in turn 3 we have this like double blue in the mana cost. That's going to be really hard to play. I don't know how we're going to really slip that in. So, this makes our deck a little bit clunky here, this pick. It is an enchantment creature. That's very important. Let's just take Daxos. I think he's good, too good to pass up at the moment. Uh, and we have a good set of cards right here. Not the best, but pretty good. Indomitable Will is a flash enchant creature. It gets +1/+2. It's an enchantment. It's a combat trick. It buffs our creature. +1/+2 is in general a very good buff to have because it lets it trade up with the next creature class. Um, and obviously, we care about enchantments with these guys. We can bring it out with Heliod's Pilgrim. A Triumphant Surge is also just a pretty tier 1 removal spell, so I think I'll take this instead. Sometimes we get screwed and we don't see Indomitable Wills later in the draft, but at that same time, we might not be able to see any more removal spells either, and I'd rather have the 1 removal spell at least. Oh, here we see a pretty big staple in this blue white flyers deck, the Transcendent Envoy. So it's a two mana 1/2 flyer. Aura spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This is really nice, not just for buffs that you put on our creatures, but our banishing lights and our Ikathmoplala, those that blue enchantment guy that we put on the enemy creatures, those are going to cost 1 less to cast. Our buffs are going to cost 1 less to cast, so it just works really, really well. Here, it's pretty close between the Triton Wave Rider and the Stern Dismissal. The Stern Dismissal bounces one of their creature or enchantment cards, and the Triton Wave Rider is a constellation that will give himself flying. So 3/3 for 4 mana. I usually see this guy going pretty late in the draft, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a Stern Dismissal because a lot of this deck uh, revolves around tempo, and if we like bounce their 4-drop and are able to swing in for a little bit more damage, that can just be the game. And we did find that Triton Wave Rider, so everything's looking really solid right here. Beautiful card right here. We got a Starlit Mantle. This is a flash, another one of these enchantment combat trick cards. Enchant creature you control. When Starlit Mantle enters the battlefield, enchanted creature gains hexproof until end of turn. So we play the Archon on turn 4, pass turn 5. Maybe we play something, maybe we don't, maybe we pass turn. And when they try to respond to something we do, we can give this bad boy hexproof, and then he's really hard to take out of the game because we've already essentially removed one of their removal spells and created a token. So this is just a really nice combo that we love to have, and it also works with the Transcendent Envoy. We do have two demigods, so Altar the Pantheon, we'll just take it. Riptide Turtle, we'll just take it. This is the point of the draft. We're picking up pretty mediocre cards. We got a 5-drop that cycles through our deck a little bit. Probably won't play it. I'm not putting this guy in the 3-drops just yet. Well, why not? I probably won't play it. I'm immediately going to put Chain to Memory in the sideboard because I don't love it. And we picked up another Triton Wave Rider. All right. So we found a Protean Thaumaturge, which is a really, really cool card. It's a 1/1 for 2, and when an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Protean Thaumaturge become a copy of another target creature, except it has this ability. So essentially, whenever we play an enchantment, this is going to become a copy of the strongest card on the field, even if even if we don't control the strongest creature on the field, we're still able to copy like an opponent's creature. So if they've got a 5/5, a 5/6, a 6/6, something like that, we're able to play an enchantment, have this become a copy, swing in, and all of a sudden our 2 drop is trading for their 5 or 6 drop. So it's a pretty solid card. We also have a Reverent Hoplite, which is generally a solid card, but sometimes it flops. A lot of these games, by turn 5, the board is at a stalemate, and maybe you've traded off a lot of creatures, and this guy comes in and makes 2 tokens, and that's like not that good of value. He really shines though when there's a board state that's maybe a little bit frozen, and you are piling up creatures on creatures on creatures, and he's able to drop like 7 tokens. That's like a ridiculous and the dream with this guy, but it doesn't happen that often. Sentinel's Eyes is a decent card because it does fit our enchantment theme, and it has escape, so we're able to get a little bit of extra value off of it. Here's the Ichthyomorphosis, uh, which is that removal card I was talking about before, but we're just going to pick the Thaumaturge and be pretty content with that. Idyllic Tutor. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Shuffle your library. This card is playable when you have a card like Elspeth Conquers Death, or Kiora Slays the Sea God, or Best the Sea God. Then it's generally pretty good. But we don't have any bomb enchantments that we need to get out. And all of our enchantments that we need to get out, we probably just do it for the same amount of mana, except we get a body with it. We're not playing a lot of sagas. This is more for like saga searching. We also have another Starlit Mantle and a Witness of Tomorrows. I'll probably take the Witness of Tomorrows because it does everything we're trying to do. It's an enchantment in of itself. It's a flyer. It costs 5 mana. It's pretty reasonably statted. This is just a good late game drop that also keeps us drawing relevant cards because it has a scry. It has a nice little mana sink there for the late game. Probably here we're going to take the Indomitable Will because we already have a Daxos. It's hard to cast with that double white mana, and so we don't really want 2 of them. Plus it's legendary, so we're not even able to play 2 of them if we get 2 of them. The Indomitable Will goes with the theme of our deck. It's pretty straightforward. I don't really like Eidolon of Philosophy, even though it is an enchantment and it is a mana sink. Oftentimes it just sits there for the first couple turns. You play it on turn 1. It's a dead draw in like the mid game. Sure, drawing it late game, you're like, oh, this is not too bad. But in the mid game, you draw this and you're like, what the hell? But Indomitable Will, yeah, I think we're going to go with this one 9 times out of 10. Now it's important to start looking at our curve. We're starting to really stack up the 2 drops, and that might not be the best idea. However, I do see an Omen of the Sea, which is pretty good. It's a nice little draw spell here for us, as well as an enchantment. We have a Captivating Unicorn, which taps target creatures with a constellation effect, which is pretty good. It's good for tempo. And it's good with the flash enchantments because you're able to tap creatures on their turn, which means that they won't be able to attack or block for the upcoming turn, which is a lot of value. However, I do think the Omen of the Sea is a really, really strong card here, and I'm probably going to just end up picking this one up. Whirlwind Denial is a nice little counterspell, but that's all it is. It's just a counterspell. Rumbling Sentry, I find doesn't really work. It's a 5 mana 3/6 that scries. It's a big butt, sure, and it gets to block a lot, but I would rather just play like a flyer, you know? I'd rather play my Witness of Tomorrow. But there's not a lot of good cards here. We have 3 cards in our colors. I think we probably take the Whirlwind Denial just to have a counterspell in the deck. Okay, so we got a Dawn Evangel, which I actually don't get this guy to work very often, but whenever a creature dies, if an aura you controlled was attached to it, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. This probably works better in the white-black recursion deck because you can like Myers Grasp things and then bring back a creature, maybe like a Lampad of Death's Vigil or something like that. But uh, in this deck, it's still solid because we're gonna have, a couple little guys and definitely a few enchantments that are attached to people. Okay, so now we get to choose between a second Transcendent Envoy, a second Witness of Tomorrow, a Divide the Deny the Divine, which I think is better than Whirlwind Denial. A Hero of the Winds. I'm going to go with the second Transcendent Envoy, because I really think this is just a staple card for us. Another Triumphant Surge, which is pretty solid. Let's take the Ichthyomorphus right now. Another Starlight Mantle, even though we might not play both of them. We'll just grab Eidolon of Philosophy, even though I don't think we're necessarily going to play it. And we can always, sideboard cards out. We're going to have to sideboard quite a few cards out. Dreadful Apathy, really solid card. It's like a pacifism, except we're able to exile it if we care about the static effect or abilities it has. We're also able to pull it out with a Heliod's Pilgrim. Another Heliod's Pilgrim, another Indomitable Will, and another Transcendent Envoy. I think I'm going to take the Pilgrim because it's able to pull out removal spells. We have drafted a couple removal spells, so it is really flexible. We're able to pull out either auras that buff our creatures or removal spells, which is wonderful. So we got a Vexing Gull, which this is the first one we've seen this whole draft, I think. I think it's one of the staple cards in this blue-white Flyers deck. It's really, really solid. On turn 3, you pass. You're able to maybe Whirlwind Denial something, or if they don't do anything you really care about, at their end step, you play Vexing Gull, and then you have a 2/2 ready to attack on your next turn. We're either choosing here between a Stern Dismissal and a Thirst for Meaning. Thirst for Meaning is really solid draw, and it works well with enchantments because it's a 3-mana draw 3 cards, and then you can discard 1 enchantment, or you can discard 2 cards. So it's just like, cycle through your deck a little bit. Stern Dismissal is good for tempo, although we do have 1 already and a decent amount of removal. So I'm just going to take the draw spell. Karametra's Blessing or Sentinel's Eyes. We also have a Deny the Divine, which I'm going to take the Deny the Divine just so we can play it instead of Whirlwind Denial. I think Deny the Divine is a lot better. We have a Naiad of Hidden Coves, which works well with Vexing Gull as well as any of the other flash cards. 3 Ichthyomorphuses. Do we need 3? Probably not. But we also really don't need another creature on 3. The one card we haven't really found is the blue-white enchantment that gives a creature +1/+1 lifelink, and whenever it deals damage, you draw a card. That's kind of a staple in this deck. It's an uncommon, so it's not guaranteed that we get it, but it would have been nice to have. I mean, I guess I'll just grab that. Another Starlit Mantle. We have 3 of them. We're not going to use 3. We got another Stern Dismissal. Okay, let's actually craft this deck here. I'm going to throw away all the lands because I'm bad at basic math. And we have 35 cards, so we have to cut like 12 cards here. What cards are free to cut? I think we're cutting the Shoal Kraken. We're going to cut these guys. We're going to cut the Riptide Turtle and one of those, I think. We're going to cut the Altar of the Pantheon. Triton Wave Riders. Do we need 3? Probably not. Daxos is kind of... Daxos doesn't really fit the theme of our deck. So I'm going to cut him, as crazy as it sounds. Well, he's going to be put in the maybe. We might not want to cut him. How many actual removal spells do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.5 with Deny. Yeah, 5. Well, we'll call it 6. 7, 8. Is that too many? Could we get rid of 1 Triumphant Surge? We like the enchantment removals more than instant removals, I think. Maybe we get rid of one stern dismissal. Do we want two of them? If we draw both, it's kind of rough. And we really want to make sure we hit the creatures and the things we care about. Chances are, I actually like this card now because chances are our devotion to blue is going to be pretty high looking at this deck. We have a lot of. I'm going to get rid of Daxos just because he's not a flyer. He is an enchantment, but chances are he gains us like 3 life-ish. He's hard to cast. He messes up our mana curve. Do we want a Deny the Divine? Is this a staple, or do we just deal with things once they're already on the battlefield with our enchantments? One more card here. Maybe one Triton Wave Rider. We do have a lot of 3-drops, so maybe we get rid of a 3-drop. This is kind of a hard decision, I think. I really don't know what's the worst card in our deck. Is it another Triton Wave Rider? Do we need 3 of them? I just feel like Triton Wave Rider is gonna deal a lot of damage over the course of these games, but it isn't that strong of a play. It is only a 3/3 that comes down. But it's a 3/3 with flying. Like, we're gonna be able to give it flying almost every turn, I feel. What would you guys take out? Leave a comment down below what you guys would take out in this situation. I think I'm actually genuinely curious because I think it is a usually I don't have a problem like taking out the final card. Usually I just rip it out and I don't look back, but I really feel like all of these are going to be useful. Part of me wants to take out this. I almost think it's too slow. And it grabs like I'm gonna take out the Dawn Evangel because when it dies, it's bringing back a Transcendent Envoy to my hand. Whoop de doo. Let's see the suggested lands. It wants me to go 9 islands, 8 plains. It says my deck is 85% white, 65% white, and 35% blue. The other way around, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think this is solid. Let's run with this. There's 20 hours left in the Theros Beyond Death drafts, and then a different set. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which set we'll be drafting after that for the quick drafts. So I guess this video will be like like a how to draft Theros Beyond Death, blue white flyers, but the when you by the time you see this video, these drafts will already be done. So the next time you draft Theros Beyond Death, you'll have an idea of what to draft. And also, these videos are just like good to make sure you know like what cards to look out for and stuff because like most blue white flyers decks are not specific to Theros Beyond Death. This is an archetype that is prevalent in almost every um, It's prevalent in almost every format you're playing. There is a little bit of a not in Kaldheim. Kaldheim actually had a pretty weak blue-white flyers archetype. There's just not enough strong ones. Some of the strongest cards in the set are white flyers, like the 3/2 Angel that you can play for 2 by exiling a creature card out of your graveyard. Extremely strong card. There's just not enough support for that archetype as a whole. The closest deck to it would be the Boros aggro deck, in which you're playing Battlefield Raptor and just putting like a Gilded Pickaxe on that or something. It plays similarly to this deck, but it is a little bit more aggressive. This is slightly more grindy and controlly, I believe. Our opponent's going first, which is a big deal with this deck because it is like at the end of the day a tempo deck. We're playing slower creatures with smaller stat lines with evasion, but we still are, most of the time we're racing people. And your win condition is having lethal damage in the air versus, uh having fast creatures with like haste. But you still got to get your creatures to stick, so playing first oftentimes is a really big advantage to that. He is going to have a flyer here immediately, or a guy with reach immediately. This is a card I would love to target with a removal spell that doesn't put it in the graveyard, because his escape cost is going to be very problematic to us in the future. What this guy is able to do is come back if you exile 4 other cards from your graveyard and you pay 5 mana. He comes back with 3 +1/+1 counters on him, and he's going to end up dealing 4 damage to a flyer. So here we're going to wait to play our Vexing Gull and potentially block and a Chabweb Arachneer. He doesn't have any creature cards in his graveyard at the moment, so he has to get 5 cards in his graveyard total to be able to actually play this. So that's a little bit of a that's a little bit of an upside for us. We're gonna throw out our. He said good game. So he's either does not have an answer for this. Oh, okay, that is ridiculous. That guy, he's a high rank too. That is a high rank player that just let the Archon resolve and conceded because he didn't have an answer to it. That is a salty player. That game was very fast. I think he could have paced me a little bit because I didn't have a good draw. He must have had all lands or something. I was gonna play like a Thirst for Meaning or something the next turn. I wasn't gonna be able to make Pegasuses for at least another turn. This is gonna be a keep right here. We have both of our colors and 3 lands plus a draw spell, even though we don't have an early play. That's one thing this deck was missing a little bit. We didn't get a lot of 2-drops. We got both of our 1/2s for 2. But other than that, we didn't really draft a ton of super good 2-drops. We got the Thaumaturge. He also had a reach guy. A 1/4 reach too. This guy is milling me. If he plays an enchantment, I'm going to play Omen of the Sea and see if I can... Yeah, so we're going to play Omen of the Sea before this person starts milling me. And we're going to see if I'm able to draw something I like. I should have let her mill the land, actually. That was my bad. Hmm. We're not playing anything, so we can just play the Vexing Gall on block. I'm going to... This is a hard decision. I think I'm going to... swing with both. See if he double blocks. And if he double blocks, I'm going to bounce the lamp pad. He triple blocked. I guess that was kind of smart. So I'm going to bounce Soul Reaper. So that my guy doesn't die and I kill one of his lamp pads. And then I'm going to play a Triton Wave Rider to potentially trade with his Nyxborn Marauder. Because I would like to kill that. And then he's going to mill me for 2 again. Bunch of cards in my graveyard. It's kind of annoying. He's not going to win the game like that, though. So I really am not too worried about it. I think I'm just going to grab a... I can grab a Dreadful Apathy, which I believe I'll do. And attack with everything. And then if he double blocks this, I'll just cast a Starlight Mantle on it. And have a little 2-for-1 action. Okay. I'll play the Battlefield Thaumaturge just so I have it ready for next turn. I do leave myself open to get one of these removed, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of okay with it. Another Sage of Mysteries. He's going for the mill plan, I guess. Oh my gosh, what is this guy's deck? We're milling 4 cards now. It's getting a little bit scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's... Does this, so when I cast a spell and this guy is attacking, does he become stronger while attacking? Or does he, like, get summoning sickness? Let's give this guy +2/+3. Have him enter as a copy of this dude. And then we just gotta realize, what's the chance we get milled out right here? What's the chance he plays 2 enchantments? 3 enchantments. What are the chances he draws an enchantment and plays 3 enchantments with 4 mana? Really small, right? So let's just aim for the lethal next turn. That's a nice little, So we're gonna Dreadful Apathy this. We're gonna have a 2/3/3 flyers. Oh, he didn't get flying. That's... That's okay, I think. Next to combat. We're just gonna go all out. It's okay if he double blocks this. Yep, and he's starting to throw a Sage of Mysteries into the battle. Never mind. Oh, he's more afraid of the... What? He's more afraid of the Triton Wave Rider. The Thaumaturge version, Trident Wave Rider, which is surprising. I think he might be mistaken, and I think he might think I'm gonna copy this. But that wouldn't work, because it was a copy of the strongest thing on the battlefield besides this. Like, I think I would have killed this if I was him. The only reason I would understand he makes that trade is if he thinks I'm gonna make 2 of these. I would have just killed this. But that reasoning doesn't even make sense, because you would just kill this in that situation as well. I don't know why he killed the Thaumaturge. Maybe he didn't want the extra flyer. Yeah, okay, obviously. He just didn't want the extra flyer in the air. Which I don't think it matters too much at this point. Yeah, that's a really good play. I mill a couple cards. I'm going to activate this to see what I mill exactly. Because it might matter here. I'm okay milling both of these because neither of them are that applicable. And we drew a land. It's probably my fault. I'm gonna just activate this. He'll probably sack it off to Lampad. Yeah. Okay, next to combat, all attack. For a second, it was completely possible that I was going to get milled out this game. But it looks like we will end up winning, probably. Depends on this draw. This guy's deck is very weak. That's why you don't draft cards like Sage of Mysteries. It looked good for a second, but he had to play so many cheap enchantments that do nothing, like Lampad of Death's Vigil. Really good card in the right deck. It's not meant for a mill deck. It's meant for a sacrificey, grindy deck that likes to get cards in the graveyard and also likes to get value. It also turns, all of your creatures, they get hit with removal. Psych, it's just a drain for one. It's a really solid card, but not the way he was playing it. He was trying to mill me out with it, which just doesn't really do the trick most of the time. We will keep this. We can play turn 2, Protean Thaumaturge. Turn 3, one of his creatures. Play this on one of his creatures and copy maybe something. We do want to draw a land here in a second, preferably a Plains, because I would love to get a turn 4 Archon out. Especially if he's playing green-red. There is removal, but it's not the best. Okay. I'm okay with that at the end of the day. Still just a 2-drop, even though he's kind of a cool, good card. It's still just a 2-drop. It's just a 1-for-1. Can't be too salty about it. Let's just get a... Let's get a Starlit Mantle. It thins our deck, and it... It thins our deck, and it protects Archon, potentially. If we do miss our land drop, though, it's going to be a little bit disappointing here. Whoops, I just hit the microphone. That probably sounded like shit. My bad. Okay, please draw Plains. Please draw Plains. What can we do to draw Plains? I will give... Oh, what? I didn't commit to anything. I was gonna, like pray to, some pretty questionable deities, but I did not give anything. Do you want to trade, mister? You want to trade with me? Wow. It looks like he's not doing anything at the moment. This is gonna start racing him pretty solidly. We could Indomitable Will. Ah! Dude, he had the removal. That's so sad. He had to do it that turn too. Oh, whatever. We'll play another one of these. And just grab a... We'll just grab another Starlit Mantle. So that he really doesn't know what we have. Now, our Witness of Tomorrow is going to be Kind of our big boy here. You have to exile, so he needs one more card in his graveyard to be able to play this. Plus, it's not that hard to deal with once he does end up playing it. We'll just hit it with a Triumphant Surge or something. Come on, we need a mana here. Give me a island. Island. Calling it off the top. Ripping it off the top, an island. He's not playing anything. And I'm calling these rips like it's what I do for a living. How's he gonna get rid of it? He already final flared. He already played the Omen of the Forge. What's he gonna do to get rid of this guy? If I untap, I got Starlit Mantles. 2 of them. Oh, he's gonna Fateful End a Helioid's Pilgrim. Which is not that great. But it does let him scry. I'm guessing he's sitting on some lands, you know. Otherwise, you wouldn't use a removal spell on a 1/2. He was obviously casting it for the scry mostly. And then we got a Underworld Ragehound, which is pretty solid. It attacks each turn if able, so we might just wait to block with the Helioid's Pilgrim. He's gonna play a Loathsome Chimera right here. If we draw another land, we can safely Triumphant Surge it, as well as Starlit Mantle. Yep. That is completely fine with me. So yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to combat, attack with 3 in the air. And we're just gonna pass the turn. We're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So at combat, we're just going to block the Underworld Ragehound with Indomitable Will, Helioid's Pilgrim, kill that, and then we're going to Triumphant Surge the Loathsome Chimera. So the first thing we do, Triumphant Surge this, and then Indomitable Will, our Helioid's Pilgrim, block, and now we got 5 on the counter swing. He's sitting there with 6 mana or 7 mana. I don't like how they stack. I don't like how they stack these. The land stacking in this game, like, they have to make it a little bit cleaner. I know it said ×6 right there, but it just doesn't look right. It's gonna fight. Oh, he chose to fight. What? He chose to fight my 2/4 on the ground instead of my 3/4 in the air. This guy gets to live, but well, actually, does he get to live? He's not able to cast anything in his graveyard. He has to attack each turn if able. Do we throw this bad boy on him? I don't think so, because we want to be able to scry, I think. It's not like we're at 20 health, 19 health. It's not like this attack really matters that much. Cool. We got a Vexing Gale off the top. Vexing Gull. Play that bad boy. Next to combat. 1 attacker. I don't think we're going to scry during his turn this time. 5, 6, 7, and we don't have lethal on the counterattack next turn. We're not going to scry because we have 2 Starlit Mantles, and we're just going to keep the mana open for both of those so that he can't really interact with our board. It doesn't really do anything. He's able to sack it off to maybe a Final Flare or something. We still get a hexproof, but maybe that's worth it for him. Like, maybe he has a better percentage of winning if he removes one of these out of our hands. Yeah, and yeah, we're just gonna let it ride. Maybe if you had, there's not a pump spell I don't think really matters in this situation. We're sitting pretty at 9. We will scry. Surprised he hasn't FF'd. Yep, there it is. We're 3-0 with this deck. It's pretty solid. Most of that victory is coming off of our Archon. Because even though, like, the Archon got removed right away, it generated enough pressure for him to sacrifice a creature and use a remove. He 2-for-1'd himself just off of the Archon. And we won that game off of card advantage. We had an extra creature with evasion out. We had answers just sitting in our hand, so he really couldn't do anything. He was locked out of the game because of that early 2-for-1 and the card advantage that progressed from that. Even though he was able to escape the Loathsome Chimera one time, the quality of our cards and the amount of value we were getting out of our cards was just a little bit higher throughout the whole game, and that makes the difference. That's how you win the games. That's how you get the gold. Yeah, we got it's a really solid hand here. We got 3 islands and a plains and a Vexing Gull. We get to go first, so we're not going to get out tempoed probably in the early stages of the game. We got our nice little friend Starlit Mantle there. Ooh, solid card, solid card. Let's just hardcast the Vexing Gull. Kind of a lazy play, but okay. So, do we want to play Ichthyomorphus? It turns that into a 1/1. And we have another one in our hands. So if he plays like a big beater right now, we can also get rid of him. I like playing the Triton Wave Rider. It lets us Ichthyomorphus next turn and then hit him 5 in the air. It puts him down to 11. Those are some strong creatures you got there. This is how races work with this deck. He's got a lot more cards in his hand. He's been playing higher quality cards. The Unicorn is pretty solid. No blocks. Well, let's just Dreadful Apathy that. next to combat. He's attacking for 5 next turn. I'm at 7. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, you can block with that, sure. So he's attacking for 5. Do we want to... Do we want to just exile this? No. Just gonna exile it. Let's see what happens. Close game here. Oh, dude, we lost, right? Ah, sad stuff. Whatever, that game was so fast-paced, and, you know, it's hard to beat that. Uh, we had a decent curve. We missed our 2-drop. He had, like, 2, 3, 4. With all, like, you know, solid cards. They weren't busted cards or anything, but when he plays appropriately statted minions every turn, it's hard for the evasion deck to deal with it, because our removal's a little bit clunky. I should have left a blocker up, but it's okay. We got the 2-drop, 3-drop this turn. Or this game, I should say, so. Opponent's going first. I ate my words. I said he wasn't going to be able to out-tempo us in the early turns, but that's exactly what he did. A Pious Wayfarer. Elysian Caryatid, so he's able to ramp a little bit, but the weird thing about white-green is that he's not going to be ramping into anything that crazy, probably. No blocks here. His cards are looking strong. This is quite a start from him. It's going to be hard to recover a little bit. We do have the Archon, so hopefully he doesn't have removal. He's stuck on 3 mana. So I'm hoping he just doesn't really have the removal to properly deal with Archon, and we're able to use that to come back. Okay, here it is. Archon. No attacks. Your turn. He has 2 mana, so I'm not going to risk getting Indomitable Willed. I don't think he had it, but I'm not going to risk it. Oh, wow, we found a Stern Dismissal, which is pretty crazy here. We're not doing anything so that we can Starlight Mantle something, have a copy of Archon Sun's Grace when he attacks, bounce this, which he'll probably stack things on, and then we can block with a bunch of Lifesteal and Griffins and Pegasuses. It should be a really solid turn here if everything goes to plan. This should be the game winner right here. I'm gonna pull the trigger. Maybe just play Vexingal instead. We can just Stern Dismissal on my turn. Ridiculously strong play we just made. We're gonna heal up to 20. Woo! How's that 3 mana looking, my guy? You got yourself a forest? Good lad. Nice Sunmane Pegasus. Another Heliod's Pilgrim. So let's go ahead. Take action. Get ourselves a nice little... Let's just do one of these. I don't think I need a Starlit Mantle anymore. I've already developed my board so heavily that, yeah, that was just a disgusting little game right there. He didn't have an answer to my Archon. He didn't have a... 4th land drop. He started missing land drops. It was over pretty quickly at that point. We got 3 lands, both colors, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a little bit of combat trickery, and a 5-drop. This seems pretty solid, even though our opponent's going first. I feel like we haven't gone first too many times. Actually, our one lost, we went first. I'm not sure if we have gone first. I think we have. I think we've gone first a couple times. Maybe 50% of the time. It's getting kind of warm in my room behind all this light. I got these special lights set up to make me look good and aesthetic, you know. Grrr. Like a model. I want to be famous. This guy's pretty good. He's a little bit scary. It sets up a lot of nice sacrifice interactions. Just getting a token. It's pretty solid. Alone, though, it's just a 2-1. Nothing to worry about too much. That's irritating. He doesn't have any interaction with it, so I'm just gonna hard cast this. I don't really care. There is a problem with our deck. It's a little bit hard for us to reload. We do have to stick some creatures. Well, it's a good thing I have this bad boy. Because we need this guy to lose his ability. If this guy has his ability when Discordant Piper is available, he just gets way too much value. He hits me for 7 next turn. I go to 7. I Ichthyomorphous this thing, and I can block something. I also block this. Solid. Oops. See if he plays a land or if he has 2 relevant cards. I discard 1 plains. It's not that big of a deal. It is now a game of top decks. Let's see what happens here. Oh, nice draw. This is, oh my gosh. If we come back with this combo again, that'll be so nutty. If we get an enchantment right here and we're able to attack for 6 lifelink. Oh, Thirst for Meaning. Come on, enchantment me. I'm not able to play it. Wait, yes I can. Wait, no I can't. I can't renege on that. That's kind of stupid. I still think I want to attack with lifelink. He doesn't have a trick. He pulled him back and then pushed him through. He wouldn't have thought about it like that. He wants to get something in the graveyard, I think, for this. Exile 3 other cards. No, he can already play it. What's his scheme here? I'm gonna block to be safe. I think I had to block to be safe. I didn't know what he was going to play there at all. I expected this. He wants to get cards in the graveyard so that he can keep pinging me with this thing. He's going to swing with something. I'm going to Starlight Mantle and block. Actually, I don't have to block. That's kind of scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to block. 1, 2, 3, 4. He can, because he can He can sacrifice a lot of these things to keep dealing damage to me, so I have to heal. He can cast this again, but he has to... That'll be all his mana. Yeah, and... Dude, I hate that decline button that is right there. I meant to view the battlefield. The decline button, honestly, is so logistically where like view battlefield should be. I don't know why. The view battlefield, I drew the card I was gonna pick. The view battlefield is like, I don't know. We'll just do it on here. He can sack it. This doesn't enter the battlefield, but he has to sack his. See if he sacks everything right here. No, yeah, he is. He's gonna sack everything. Wow. He didn't choose to sack his own land pad. Let's see if he chooses to sack everything right here. I want him to commit to sacking the whole lot. Lifesteal should bring me out of range for anything else. And this game looks like it's going to be ours as long as he doesn't have like a wrath effect right here or something. Is there any destroy all creature cards or wrath effects in this set? I'm not sure. I wonder how much damage I took this game. I think I probably took around 30 damage, 25 damage this game if I had to say. Resolve. Good game. As you can see, the power level of Archon of Sun's Grace has literally just been carrying us from game to game to game. It has won us maybe 3 of these games. Shipwreck Dozer. Prowess. I haven't seen Prowess in a while. I mean, it's obviously an M21, but I didn't really play when M21 came out. I played a lot of Magic in high school, which was starting with Return to Ravnica and ending with Zendikar. Battle for Zendikar is when I really stopped playing. So I played through like a little bit of Ravnica when like some of the control decks were really strong, and then we moved on to like Theros, where there were a lot of aggro decks. There was Mono Blue Devotion, which was an aggro deck. There was Rakdos aggro, which I played a lot of. There were some mid-range decks and a couple control decks with Elspeth was a real big powerhouse. And, you know, some decks with some big cards like that. And then we move on to Khans of Tarkir, which was pretty fun. You had some like control-y delve decks. You had like Treasure Cruise. You had... I played Abzan, which it was Abzan aggro, but to be honest, Abzan aggro was more of a mid-range deck. Like, what aggro deck plays... Was Sidrano a 4/5? A 4/5 for 4 mana. Like, that's straight up mid-range, I think. But, you know. It's whatever. Let's go ahead and play a Transcendent Envoy. Take action on this. Next to combat, swing in for 1 damage. And if he tries to do some funny business, we can Starlight Mantle. We can Starlight Mantle and block, which is pretty strong. Although if he just attacks in, which he probably will because he has instants, This deck. Interesting. I was hoping to hit like an Indomitable Will or something like insane right there, but that's fine. We can scry in a little bit, in a couple turns. We did shoot away a removal spell, which might have been a little bit hasty. Because we really don't have a play coming up. We gotta draw into some stuff. Or else we're gonna fall behind on board pretty quickly here. Let's get rid of this. I do not want that to resolve. You can play it again. Wasting a turn 4 is pretty sound with me. Next to combat, send a couple attackers in. Maybe I'll kill this thing. He didn't have another 2-drop, so I'm just going to kill this thing. And a couple of 2-3 flyers in the air is... That's a clock. I mean, this is something he has to deal with. So hopefully these upcoming turns, instead of developing his board, all he's trying to do is deal with my board. And those removal spells, the one that I just ditched, this guy, that's fine. Make sure we actually get a play. I'm going to keep this in my hand just to bluff having something. A Starlit Mantle, perhaps. Captivating Unicorn. It's a fun card. We're not able to actually get our guy in the air, which is a little bit frustrating. This is really the point of the game where we need to draw something other than lands. No blocks. I wonder if he has any flash enchantments. Nope, another Captivating Unicorn, which is a little bit scary. One attacker in the air. End turn. We did get a Vexing Gull, which I don't necessarily mind, because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He has 8. We're able to double block. Let's if he swings in with both Captivating Unicorns, we're gonna double block one of them. Because we can't risk being on this 2-turn clock. He probably has an answer. I really don't like jump blocking here. It's a lot of damage, though. We have to find an answer to one of these guys. We're only able to swing with... We're only going to swing with a Triton Wave Rider. The one in the air. And then we're going to have these blockers ready to go. And we're going to see what's in his hands. We do have lethal on board if he decides to double swing. If he double swings, I'm only blocking one with our Thaumaturge. Oh, he's actually able to just kill me. Rats. I was feeling pretty confident about that game. We let it slip away. Probably a little bit too greedy. That Thassa play when we ditched the removal spell. Playing a little bit too greedy right there, probably. And probably have to save the Starlit Mantles for something more important. I'm impressed by how Thaumaturge is performing, though. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing work. Yes. Got a mulligan this one. Keep 6, throwing away. Ooh, maybe I should have thrown away this one because we don't have double blue. I do like having like creatures to play though. I think that's more important than having a removal spell on deck. I like getting this person out so that they have to pay more for their removal spells, which can be a little bit of a burden. Triumphant Surge tends to be pretty good against these kinds of decks because what tends to happen is they will buff this guy up to a point where he can be hit by a Triumphant Surge. So it's pretty easy to get like a 2-for-1 because he plays like an enchantment on him, maybe like a, I don't know, Aspect of Manticore or something. He becomes a strong creature. Wow, that's actually kind of strong as well. If we swing in with Caliphate, he'll block with Daybreak. We're gonna probably... Man, this could be a sticky situation. I don't want to get blown out. We can flash in a Vexing Gull and double block. I really feel like he has something for us, though. I've got a little feeling we're about to get blown out by an Aspect of Manticore. But I think we have to make this play. We don't have to, but I think we do make this play. Fateful Ends. Okay. Okay. Happens. We might be able to do our own little blowout here. If he double blocks, well, actually double blocking would just be good. End turn. We can Triumphant Surge something. If he resolve. If he casts something on this and buffs his whole team, we can kill the Daybreak Chimera with our Triumphant Surge. It's not that much damage we're taking. Dude, not another lands. My Vexing Gull probably. He's gonna target Hero of Nyxborn because he left this open, which means he doesn't want it to die. I don't know. Why would he leave this open but attack with this? Yeah. A lot of damage. That's why I didn't block with Vexing Gull. How do I win this game? I don't think I do. I think this might be where the road ends for this deck. This was a fun deck to play. I think we definitely had a couple really cool games here. So make sure if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like if you think it was a little bit helpful or if you found a little bit of entertainment while watching it. Like the video. If you want to talk about anything in the world, whether it's the game, suggestions for future games, make sure you leave a comment. I'll respond to each and every one. And let's just get blown out one more time here for old time's sake. And if you like the content of the channel in general, if you like the previous draft, if you like this draft, if you want to see some other gaming videos, some other TCG videos, some other different kinds of games, make sure you go ahead, subscribe. It'll mean a lot to me. I will see you guys on the next one.